So we're really glad that you all took some time out of your evening to just get together. You know, as soon as we turn the corner, January 1st, camp gets real, missions get real. It's like, the countdown has begun. So I hope you all had a nice, relaxing holiday, because things are about to get really busy. And we have a lot of things coming up, which Jeff will talk about, and Mark's going to talk a little bit about the curriculum, and we just kind of want to regroup a bit here and make sure that we're all on the same page as we move forward in 2018.
All right, so Todd's here, and Susan's here, and Rebecca's here. Hi, Rebecca. Mike Ermy, Marty Davey. There you are. Cool. And let's see who else I got. Carrie's here. Daishan's here. Janet's here. Excellent. And Susan. All right. So we'll see who else joins us.
Jeff, can you see my screen?
I can.
Okay.
Can everybody else see your screen?
Okay.
Yes, we do.
Excellent.
So we start out with the opening prayer and welcome. So Jeff's going to take it away from here.
Okay.
With some thank yous.
Excellent. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to I want to share my screen for a second, Ann.
Okay.
So let me
stop then.
All right. I just want to start by let me know when everybody can see that. Can you see this?
Loading.
So, Vision Healthy Church.
There it is.
There we go.
All right. Let me just share with you guys, take a minute to share with you Greg's vision and then my simple vision, and then we'll move on, see if there's any questions based upon that, and then we'll move right into the rest of the agenda. Our agenda for tonight is to share a little bit of the vision that I have for GenMin, debrief how the camps went in a fashion there, with Ann will lead that. Mark will give a brief synopsis of the curriculum. We'll talk about the Camp Directors and Mission Directors Summit coming up in April, and then we'll talk about the Camp 2018 season and how we can serve you. And if there's anything else that's pressing that you guys want to talk about, we can either bring it to the table or we can table it for next time, for our next meeting in a month or so. Let me just share with you, I called Greg and I wanted to ask him what his vision was for 2018 moving into 2019, so that we're in this major transition in so much of our denomination with the move from California to North Carolina, with every facet of the denomination. We're in a transition again. And so as leadership transitions from Joe to Greg, it's important that we start getting that momentum to join in the vision that he has. And I've been blessed to be able to work with him for the last year, just in learning a little bit more about that. But I asked Greg to share his vision with me and with others for where he's going with the denomination, what he sees for us and for us, particularly here in the U.S. and around the world. And this is this is a part of the presentation he gave to the denominational board. And it's the vision statement that he makes is that he wants to be able to see GCI, or Grace Community International, as a healthy church. That terminology will be terminology that you'll hear a lot more, talking about healthy church, what it means to be healthy church, to do healthy church. He says we want GCI churches to be the very best expression of the Church of Jesus Christ that they can be. And I think that's a nice way of putting it. That if our congregations and if the congregations in our denomination are healthy, then you'll see growth. Then you'll see people living and sharing the gospel, which is our motto at that point. You'll see things thriving in all aspects of ministry. You'll see people engaged. You'll see people, as we're going to talk about in the curriculum, all in, but all in a healthy way. Not only with a healthy theology, but with a healthy practical application of that theology. And so I think we've turned a corner to spending more time kind of sharing our theology and making sure we understand our theology, to now we've turned that corner where we're talking more about how do we live out that theology. What does it look like in real time in real ways in a local congregation or in the lives of a member. So that's Greg's vision. And so that'll be the overarching umbrella for us in GenMin. But let me take a minute to just share with you some of the vision that I have for GenMin, if it'll give you just a snapshot picture. Our motto is loving kids, building leaders, and sending a generation. And like I said at Converge last year, our last Converge, I'd like to change this a little bit from sending a generation, at least in your thoughts, from sending a generation to sending generations. Because the work that we do in Generations Ministries is multi-generational. So I want to be able to make sure that we are sending generations into ministry, doing it together. So what I came to as a kind of a vision for us to look at is I would like for GenMin to create intentional intra-generational interactions that impact intergenerational ministry within GCI. Because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be blessing, whether it's through camps or through mission trips or through local camps or with GC Ignite or GC Launch or some of the other things that we're doing. We're going to be bringing groups together sometimes in an intra-generational way, like the GC Ignite, which is the 18 to 30-year-olds, or GC Launch, which is juniors and seniors in high school, or camps or missions, which does it intergenerationally. But we want to impact all people in the local church to see what ministry looks like when you cross boundaries, when you cross those generational lines and do ministry. And there are a few places in our denomination that we see that more clearly than in GenMin. So this is kind of a visional picture for me, that we are intentional about the intra-generational interactions we have, designing them to impact intergenerational ministry within GCI. And so Greg gave me a new job description. We worked on a job description, and I'd be more than happy to, I'll send it all to you. Actually, after we're all done, I'll send you the if I haven't sent it to you already. He told me that what he wants me to be is a principal overseer of the denominational on-ramps for young people to come into GCI and to find ministry places in GCI. So as an overseer of some of the on-ramps for young people, right, they'll enter in multiple ways, and we'll talk about those in a minute. But when he said that, it didn't sit only with me as an on-ramp. I got another vision that came to my heart, and it was an acceleration zone, because we're not just dealing with young people who are coming into a relationship with Christ. We're dealing with young adults in many ways that are already been here, that have gone through our camp systems, that we're looking to accelerate, give them an acceleration zone so that they can take the baton and be running at full speed, which is what the concept of the acceleration zone was. Everybody knows what the exchange zone is, but that acceleration zone is about 10 meters behind the start of the exchange zone that allows a runner to be up to full speed by the time they enter the exchange zone. So I see our role in GenMin as providing on-ramps, but also acceleration zones for young people within within GCI. And so our primary areas of on-ramp and acceleration zone are our camps and short-term missions, GC Ignite, which we just held in Dallas, which was a fantastic experience for 18 to 30-year-olds, and then what we're calling GC Launch, which is going to be for not the high school graduates. I need to change this slide, but it'll be juniors and seniors in high school, so that we connect with them as they're coming into their final year of high school or maybe their first year in college, but we're introducing them in a very intimate way with our leadership at our home office in North Carolina, that we're introducing them to pastors, that we're connecting them to something that's bigger, so that they can see that their local congregation or their local camp or GC Ignite or GC Launch is a part of something bigger. And we want them to see how big that is and what it looks like to be a part of it. And we want to let them know how much we love them and how much we appreciate their being there. And we want to create a magnetism for them to want to step into deeper and greater ministry within Grace Community International. So that's really what Greg has challenged me to do with GenMin over the course of the next year or so. And so we've got GC Launch I know it's a little guy, but man, it would be nice if we can be sending young people into that final year of high school and into the first couple of years of college, not into the abyss of academia or this place where they now have to try to learn a little bit more about maybe finding some college campus group to stay connected to the body, but that they can always know that their home, their spiritual home, can be right here in GCI, and that we're counting on them and that we support them as they go do those things. So that's GC launch. So far the team that we've got in GenMin, what we're doing is we're building a team that includes all of you, but also on the administrative side, Mark and Ann are going to continue in the role that they've been in as camp coaches and doing training. So they're going to be leading most of these camper and mission sessions, and they're going to take on primary responsibility for working with you all there, because Greg has asked me to put most of my attention to GC launch and to Ignite, even though I'm still going to be engaged with camps and missions and working with you guys. But Mark and Ann are going to be really kind of the primary coaches for that and doing the training. And then we've asked Melinda Helsher if she would take on from Ted, as Ted's going to retire in the next year, take on from Ted the website, kind of keeping it fresh and updated, keep the Facebook page updated and that kind of thing. So Melinda's going to be taking on, she's already begun, just taking on some of that communication stuff. She's going to be helping with on the administrative end, because as Mark and Ann have said about her, Melinda can probably organize a small country. And that's one of the cool things about having her on the team. And so she's going to be joining us. She's already joining us now. She and I meet every couple of weeks just to kind of talk through stuff that we want to keep fresh or update, or we're trying to. We're getting to that place. The other piece is the GenMin advisory team, the overall advisory team. And I wanted to get a cross-section of folks from around the country, but also from different cultures and from different ministry giftings, and with a different voice or different vision or different view, excuse me, not vision, but a different view that I have. And so I've asked Muhammad Ali from out west if he would be on the advisory team. He said yes. I asked Brandon Antwine, which all of you know Brandon. I don't know how many of you know Muhammad, but once you meet Muhammad, you'll see why. He's an amazing young man. So is Brandon. I asked Joe Brannon, who will also be a part of the home office team. But Joe's going to help us out there too, because he's a lot of the things that we're talking about in that on-ramp and acceleration zone, he's experienced with Mike Rasmussen and Mike Ermey down in Oklahoma City, and now he's doing it in Dallas. Michelle Davey, who's on this call, and Barb Solari. I don't know if Barb wasn't able to make it, I don't think, but Barb Solari, who's giving us a voice not only from the mission side of things, but also just from their experience in speaking into that piece of the GenMin group. And so it is one of the things that I'll come back to later on, but one of the things that I really find that I feel is important is that we have to be able to, I think in all of our camps and our mission work, every one of them has to have a missional aspect to it. I'd like to see that for every one of our camps this year. That we, whether it's a local camp or a regional camp, that we have a missional component to it that allows young people to experience what this looks like when they leave us, and we challenge them to do it in the local church setting or even missional. But we'll talk about that a little bit more later. I would so anyway, I'm going to turn it over to you guys for Q&A. If there's any questions you have on what I've said so far, is there any questions about that from you guys?
Got a chatty group, Jeff.
We always have a chatty group.
I really like your acceleration zone. I think that's a great visual, a great metaphor for what GenMin is all about. And I really like your change to adding generations, spending generations. So those are good edits.
Have we lost? Is everybody still here? If you're still here, can you just turn your mic on and chime in?
I'm here.
Okay.
Here.
I'm here.
Janet.
Session, I'm here.
Here, all right, because Lee asked me if I could see him, and I don't see anybody right at the moment.
Name's not under there.
Yeah. Karen's here.
Okay. All right. I don't know who that is.
Lee, we can see you, but every time you talk, you sound like a Martian. Just saying. You sound like you're from outer space or something. So you might want to type your comments, Lee, in the chat box. All right, I'm going to share my screen. All right.
It's good to see you, Carrie.
Okay.
You guys do?
All right, can everybody see my screen?
No.
Not yet. Is it loading? Yeah, it's just connecting.
Yep, it's loading.
It's loading.
All right, so Jeff did thank yous. He gave you some vision, clearly where we're headed for 2018, and everybody had a bunch of questions for him. Now, if you have a question, you can send it to him in the chat box. He'll be monitoring that while we're continuing. So this is the part where you can either type in your chat box or you can unmute your microphone if you'd like to share, but we haven't talked since before the camp season of last summer. So I think our last webinar was in May, and we saw each other at Converge in April. So it's really been a long time since we've reconvened. So we just wanted to kind of know, besides the reports that you sent in, which we thank you for sending those in, how did camp go last year? Are you excited about this year? Just anybody that feels compelled to share, or just give us you can give us on a scale of 1 to 10, how did it go last year, or you can just share an anecdote. But this is where we want to kind of chime in and take turns sharing.
This is Stan and Kathy in Virginia.
Hi, Stan.
Hi.
Hey, Stan.
All right. Camp went great last year. The concern that we have right now, and the prayers that we're sending up big time right now, is with regard to staff. So we've had some folks on staff there in very key positions for a long time, like Mr. Ken High in the kitchen. And he's agreed to, stay another year so he can train up someone to replace him. And so just haven't been able to tackle that one yet. We feel that we will, but that's where our prayer emphasis is right now, on replacing him and maybe others that may fall out in the between now and when we start.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. We will definitely be sharing our prayer requests with each other so that we can lift each other up. And nobody knows better than another camp director what that's like to be short on staff or short on campers. So we pray fervently for each other, which is really awesome. Does anybody else want to share?
Hey, it's Todd here.
Hi, Todd.
Hello, everybody. I think we had overall a pretty good year. Like every camp, I'm sure there were just a few potholes that people hit, but that's the nature of camp ministry. But I was excited about some of the new things we tried this year. We introduced a program where we literally put a chaplain in each dormitory to help take care of the counselors and to keep an ear a little closer to the ground as far as what was going on in the dorms. And I think that that program yielded a lot of benefits. I hear you, Stan, brother. I really do hear you. I know right where you're at. There are some times when I'm not even sure how many dorms I'm going to have right up until just before camp, because I don't know how many counselors I'm going to have. And the biggest trick is to get some of our younger folks to commit early.
Yep.
And that is difficult to do. So I know right where you're at.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wow. That's a great idea, Todd. Can I just quickly ask how big your dormitories are that you have one chaplain over? Is it like 10 kids or a couple dorms, 12 kids, or?
We try to keep it under 12 to 13 kids.
So you have one chaplain for 12 campers?
Well, we have two. We have the two counselors are in the dorm,
Right.
and so they're there. And the chaplain's main job is to take care of the counselors,
Wow.
to help them to communicate with each other and to be there to help resolve any personality conflicts that may arise or anything like that. Because we try to match them up as best as we can, but we're not always perfect at that. So he's there for that. And then if they, confide in the chaplain that, there are other issues going on, then he's there or she is there to help with those problems as well.
Can I ask real quick about the credentials of these chaplains? Are these people who've just been trained in some counseling, or are these actually pastors in local congregations?
They have been pastors and elders in local congregations.
Nice.
Very good. That's
Good job, Todd. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, that's really incredible.
That wasn't my idea, by the way. Our chaplain, Israel Hernandez, came up with that, and it was a fantastic idea, and I think he's on with us tonight.
Good job, Israel, if you're there. It's great. Anybody else have anything they want to share? Something like that, a good best practice, something that went really well, or maybe something that didn't go great that we can all learn from?
I have a question. This is Stan again.
Sure.
With regard to one of the traditions that we have at the Rock is something called Night of the Spear. And for the past years, it's pretty much been, a guy thing. And so this year we're trying to, a guy thing in that, we go running through an obstacle course to make it simple. And we wind up at, let's say, at the lake. The ladies are there. We have a service together. But this year we're going to try and also have sort of an obstacle course for the ladies as well. Have any of you endeavored in anything like that before for the ladies? Want to try and get some additional ideas because they wanted something more physically challenging.
I'll just say this, Stan, this is Todd again. We, in our desire to innovate with boys and girls nights, and we've had nights where we came alongside the young men and did do some physically challenging activities with them. And the girls were having their activity where they were being pampered, but they were looking out the window and watching the guys and wanting to do what they were doing. So
Right.
it tended to go that way. So I think that there may be something in the offing. We haven't planned it yet, but you're moving in the right direction. Is all I can do is offer you support right now.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, we've gotten the same kind of feedback, Stan, too.
Totally agree.
Okay.
We haven't done anything with it completely yet, but I think you're heading the right direction, Stan.
Yeah, and good comments, Todd. Really, really good. That's it's a each year is going to be different from the next, and we just have to keep
Growing.
innovating and growing and looking out and seeing what is going to be the best for the campers.
So one thing that the guys are doing or have done, there's this wall that's 12 feet or so high, and there's a stand on top of the wall where someone can actually physically be up there because there's no hooks or anything. It's just a flat wall, and from the bottom we push them up, and from the top they pull them over, and that's how everybody, no matter how slim or heavy they are, they get over the wall, including the counselors. So for the ladies, we weren't going to have that kind of flat wall, but a tiered wall. kind of wood steps to climb up. So that sort of thing, both vertically and then something horizontally on the ground that they go over and under and that sort of thing.
You know, Stan, let me share this. I think as we all get together, when we get together in April, one thing that would be really great to do is for everybody to bring like the different activities that you have at your camp so that we can see them. Because I know that Daishan could actually speak to that, because there's things that happen there at New Heights that happen like that. And partially that kind of some of the things that we're bringing up here now, that you're bringing up now, I think when we're all together, I think that'd be a great time for us to kind of even filter out, kind of here's some activities from you, and we can swap and share. So yeah, let's make sure we do that and just bring the activities and talk about those a little bit more in April.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Those are great comments, Jeff. We'll have a session called Best Practices, and I know it's really helpful. And you know, maybe we can break off the missions group to share some of their best practices and some of their plans and things while the camps are doing theirs. But those, I know Mark and I have gotten a lot of great ideas going to the GenMin Summit, the Camp Director Summits, and stealing other people's ideas with pride. So. We will have a time at the end where we can talk about things that we're hoping for in the future. So we'll go ahead and move forward unless anybody else has anything that they'd like to share, anything just a success or anything that they want to say about 2017. And you can obviously type in the chat box, which I can't see. There we go.
There it is.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else have anything to say? Okay. All right, so I'm going to turn it over to Mark now. He's going to talk just a little bit about the development of the curriculum and just kind of give a summary. And then we're almost ready to send it out to you all. It's been through one wave of editing, and I will let Mark take the mic.
Yeah, so hello, everybody. I was given the charge to have the opportunity to write the curriculum for the network of camps in GenMin, and the theme is all in, and that was the main idea. And my first thought was, how do we go all in? And I came up with Mark 12 verses 28 through 31, where Jesus is answering the religious leaders, and he's asked, you know, how do you gain eternal life, or what is the greatest commandment? And Jesus says, to love God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength. And the second is like unto it, love your neighbor as yourself. So in a 5-chapel curriculum, this worked out really, really well. And so we're going to be talking about, how do you go all in with all your heart? How do you go in with all your soul, with all your mind, with all your strength? And then the last one, how do you go all in, loving your neighbor as yourself? So that's the thread, and it's what we're trying to do is not so much tell you what to share, but give you a menu of items to be able to provide for your chapel speakers to give to the kids, both junior and senior. One of the things that's been on my heart is we need to be able to allow for our chapel speakers to have a little bit of freedom and be able to pick and choose from a menu, as opposed to here's what you have to say. And it's a little bit slow in coming, because I don't know what your chapel speaker is going to say. So how can I give you discussion questions that are very specific if your chapel speaker isn't speaking to those specific questions, if that makes sense? So it's going to be a little more generic and a little more open, so that you and your chaplains or your chapel speakers can pick and choose the best thing for them to share with the kids. I don't know if Jeff has sent out to the camp directors yet the outline. It has been edited once by Rick Schallenberger. He kind of did a flyby on it, and probably in the next couple of weeks we'll be able to have something that's coming out that's really gonna help the chapel speakers be able to move into what all in means. And
You mentioned the development of the team.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. One thing that we did is we tried to get a creative team to help us think about this in other ways than just the way that Mark and I think about it. Mark's done all the writing, so we tried to get younger people from all over the country, different parts, and we had a couple different video chats to get input from them. And Michelle Davey was one of them. That was, and Joe's another. They get some really good input. So Mark took all that in, and what we want to do is continue to get input from young and old alike, and put everything into a portal where you can, as you see something about All In, or if Mike Rasmussen's doing a skydive, like the picture that we see there, and he wants to do like a little video recording, like this is what it means to go all in or something.
Well, yeah, when you jump out of the plane, you're all in.
Yeah, you're all in. So just get your antennas and your radars up, and be looking for things that metaphors, clips from movies and things like that. And then we'll have a place where people can list stuff and just start posting stuff that we can all share and use, kind of more like a menu that you can go in and pick the things that work for your region, your age group, and your camp culture. So any questions on the curriculum from Mark before we move on?
This is Jeff. Let me ask, for you all who do chapels, in the past when we've had the much more detailed curriculum, I know for me personally as a chaplain, I go through and I have to take whatever that message is and put it in my own language and contextualize it for my own group. And that's really what we're trying to create, an environment where you get to contextualize it for your group. The theme will stay the same. It's a great command, right? It's loving God with all your heart, and then translating that to mission, taking it and growing in who you are in Christ, and then literally saying, how do I live this out in mission, locally and outside of there? But giving you some of that generic pieces, and then letting you fill it in, or maybe us talk about it even more, and maybe share some of those pieces. I'd love to do that in April as well. Just kind of us work together on maybe some visuals or some ideas or some movies and things that it's more collaborative. That way we own it all together. Does that cause anybody consternation? Would you rather have something that's a little more directive, little more filled in for you? If you do, let us know.
Well, if you
This is Daishan.
Daishan.
I like this approach. I think the most successful or the camp curriculum that was easiest to use for me went like this, and they took a passage and they allowed us to explore a passage over the course of a week. and I found that for me it was easiest to deliver those, and also I think it was easiest for the campers to remember that. So yeah, I like this approach.
Yeah, thanks, Daishan.
Yeah, thanks for that feedback. I know just in talking to our chapel speakers, and when they have to wade through a lot of paragraphs and just pages and pages of text, it's really hard. They have to do a lot of work. Whereas I think what you're saying, Daishan, is, have a passage and, maybe have a background, like this is what we're getting at, but then giving a lot of room for expression and the Spirit to move, and we'll I think we'll have somewhere on there that our expectation. So here's the point you need to make sure you hit, and then other than that, you can give a lot of leeway to making it your own and telling a personal story or using a movie clip or a song or that kind of thing to help, to unpack that scripture. So that's where we're headed with the curriculum. Any other thoughts before we move on?
Yeah, can I specifically ask Israel? Israel, I know you had written me about the curriculum. How does this strike you as a chapel speaker?
Is Israel there?
You have to unmute your mic, Israel, if you're there.
May not be there.
I unmuted you. How about now, Israel? Go ahead. All right. Go ahead and continue, Ann.
Okay. All right. So real quick, just a reminder that we're having a Camp and Mission Directors Summit in April in the lovely state of Ohio. April 13th through the 15th, and we're hoping that your camps will pay for your way to get there. If you need some kind of assistance, please make sure to contact Jeff about that. And this is, mainly for directors and any key admin leaders that you, or maybe a director you're trying to raise up to pass the baton off to. And Jeff will be sending out the registration link in the next couple days. I think it's getting set up, and registration will close March 13th. So for 2 nights, lodging and 4 meals, you can see the lodging prices there: single $289, double $199, triple $179, and the registration fee is $25. And we will provide transportation from the airport to the center. This is where we've had a couple converges. It's a real nice facility, lots of areas to hang out and talk. So we're going to make it really interactive. We're hoping to do a lot of the hardcore training on the webinars and that kind of thing. But I think the beauty of being in a network is being able to share what we're doing and let everybody have a chance to talk. So that's kind of our goal. We'll send out an agenda ahead of time so you'll know what to expect. And we're definitely going to have a track for the missions folk and folks. And as Jeff was saying, we really want to not require, but highly suggest having a missions element to your camp if you don't already. And also think about raising funds to send at least one camper or one staff or one of each to a missions, a GCI sponsored missions trip, which we'll talk about that in just a second. Jeff, did you want to add anything to about the summit?
Yeah, and let me clarify this too, because I think over the last number of years, the missions area, and I was talking to Lee and Barb and Steve and talked to Joel and even Janet, just about the role that missions, short-term missions plays in GenMin. Right now, it's a part of GenMin. The question of how long it'll stay a part of GenMin because of what it does is really up to them and how it operates. But I believe it's a necessary part of GenMin. It's one that we've not emphasized like I believe we should. But as far as I'm concerned, we're going to continue to emphasize it, because I really do believe it's an aspect that does bring the connecting point for our young people who are attending our camps, whether it's a regional or a local one. It makes the connection point for them. I know that there are those, and it connects them back in local congregations, because you got people who are coming from local congregations. Just today, Carrie, do you want to just briefly share the message you got today regarding the local mission that happens at Pathways?
Yeah, one of our longtime campers turned staffer for a couple of years. She was in our crew program. Because we're redoing our website, so we wanted little anecdotes and stories, and she actually wrote a paper about community service, about the outreach day that we do. It's an afternoon, 3-4 hours sometimes, that we have our senior campers run the camp for these little kids. And it was great to hear back from this 20-something what doing that for someone else for just a few hours did, and how that impacted her, that she recognized that she got to do this for a week on her own and for herself, but that it didn't matter what made her different or what was different between her and these campers. It mattered more about what's the same and what they have in common. And she learned how to kind of incorporate that into her role as a staff person in, connecting the campers, even themselves, the week that she was then kind of leading and going. So it was just neat to get a quick little snippet that, over her years of experiences, how much that meant to her to have, 3 hours once a week every year, to just do something for someone else.
It was fantastic. And this is a young person who's a sophomore in college at the University of Kentucky. And what's really interesting about it is that in her own story, in her own journey, she's been struggling in her walk, just to try to sort out who she is in Christ and who Christ is to her. But yet something that connects it all back for her in a very tangible way was serving these young people who come from the county, who don't have access to camps like we have, or things like, or family and things like we do, but bringing that and being able to come and spend those days, and her being able to serve that young person year after year. And she got the same person a couple years in a row. And she just wrote about that. And so to say that just that living on mission affected her life in such a tangible way that she can't fully explain it spiritually, but I know she will be able to. And that's the kind of thing that Crossing Borders, or what Janet did with GC Trips when they came out to Cincinnati, or what Joel does with Grace Missions when they went down to Cincinnati this past year, or maybe they're going to go out and help out in Joplin this coming summer. That's what those kind of things bring about. It brings about an opportunity for them to learn in a very tangible way. And so that's exciting to me, and it's something that I want us to really consider making a deliberate part of our camp experience, or our camp and mission experience. I don't particularly want to even separate us out. I'd love for us to share together and share our stories and things together, so that we can see that the same kind of missional work that we do kind of in the dorms, or like we saw earlier, having a chaplain for each one of the dorms, versus what it looks like to be doing mission with either shoeboxes at one point, or doing it in the summertime at another. Let's talk about what that looks like and get ideas from each other. So that's a passion for me this year, and I would love for you all to strongly consider talking to even the local congregations that support your camp, if that's possible, to help you send either one of your staff members, one of your kids, or one of each on a local mission, or a short-term mission, to be a part of that. So we'll talk about that more in April. But I just want you to see that that's something that it rings heavy for me, that I believe we need to have as far as GenMin is concerned.
Yeah, I agree. And local or short-term mission could even mean sending somebody to another camp to serve on staff. So just think sending. So
yes,
that's a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, you like doing that, Carrie. All right. So this year, 2018, if the website is accurate, this is who we have on deck. Base Camp Northwest is taking a break this year. Their camp director's going to give birth this year, so I think they're just taking a little breather. Crosswalk is in June. Great Lakes, I think it looks like, is that right, Rebecca? I thought I saw you on the call. Are you guys on break this year?
No.
Is that correct?
No, we'll be
No.
over Memorial Day weekend.
Oh, okay, good. We need to get that changed on the website then. Okay. Heartland is in July, August. Higher Ground, July. New Heights, August. Northern Light. Are they taking a break? Is that correct?
Troy's on.
Troy, are you on?
I am. We are not.
We have an outdated website. Woo!
What are your dates, Troy?
They are July 7th, or staff on the 7th and through the 14th.
Okay.
So your camp date starts the 8th?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
And then Pathways is July 15th through July 20th.
Rebecca, what are your exact dates?
That would be May 25th through the 28th.
Okay, great. Awesome. Okay, so we got Pathways July 15th through the 20th, SCP Florida the 28th to the 31st of July, Montana in July, Rockies in July, SoCal in July, Tahoe August. Wow, you guys read it. Georgia, Mountaintop, is that correct? Taking a break this year?
Mountaintop's not operating this year. Yeah, right.
Okay. We got The Rock in North Carolina, August 5th through the 11th. YES in July. 2 sessions in July. So, and then missions, the only ones I could find online is just the crossing borders. Is that correctly? I guess you can type it in. So we've got June and December. Let's see.
Yeah, twice a year.
June 16 to 24 is crossing borders this summer. Is that right, Lee?
Lee's typing.
Okay.
By the way, let's see. Yep. They're on the website. Yeah. I found them on your website, on your Facebook page. So, by the way, one of the things we're going to be talking about, and maybe this is what we'll talk about in February, is our websites. I know, Jeff, you went out to some of the websites, and on some of them, he couldn't even find the name of the camp director or a picture of them, or there was just a lot of missing info. So we're just going to talk about just some minimums, some things to have on your camp, your web page, and keeping them updated and some of that stuff. So that'll at least be part of our conversation in February, because honestly, if you were a parent looking for a camp, where would you go? You would hit the internet. Even if it was a one-on-one recommendation, let's say a neighbor's kid told you about the camp, you would go online. That's the first thing I do. Like, I want to see what I want to see what the director looks like. I want to see what the kids look like. I want to see how organized they look. Is this a place where my kid's going to be safe? And they need to get all of that information from looking at your website. Right. Is it fun? Is it safe? And who are these people? So we'll be talking about website development a little bit, probably in February, just because we really need to hit it pretty quick.
Yeah.
Can I add a couple things about a couple of camps that we didn't mention?
Please, Jeff.
They're on the sheet that I sent you guys a while back, but just wanted to keep you up to date on. Let's see, which one was it? Crosswalk is actually going to be they're becoming a local camp. So they're a reimagined camp, and they're still going June 4 to June 10. Let's see.
Neighborhood camp.
Neighborhood camp. That's right. There's Silver Meadows in Canada. They're going to be July 8 through 15. There's the West Side Day Camp, which is in Cincinnati. That's also one of our local neighborhood camps. That's going to happen August 6th through August 10. Dustin Lampy is going to be directing that with Patrick Quinn. There is we're looking I know that Joplin, Missouri, Terry McDonald is looking to start a local neighborhood camp there in Joplin, Missouri at some point in 2018. But we also have the You Matter Club, which used to be Camp Oasis. Camp Oasis in Tennessee, they used to run a regular camp, but now they do theirs weekly. And so even though they're not a regional camp, they're still within the GenMin family, but they're operating as a local neighborhood camp ministry, mission ministry, really, camp mission ministry.
It's so good.
Yeah, so we probably want to redo this website
Beautiful.
and maybe categorize, regional camps and local camps or something like that.
Or day camps
And-
or residential camps or yeah.
Yeah.
If you have plans for that, please let me know. If you got plans either in 2018 or 2019 to be a part of that, and we'll probably be asking a little bit more if there's one that's going to be someone's looking to start one nearby you, whether you would be willing to send a couple staff members to help that local church or that local community serve in that local camp. So we'll talk more about that as we go along, but just kind of place that in your mind, if you don't mind.
Awesome. All right. Anything else on this page? We're getting close to the end. Oh, it's 6 o'clock. So real quick, I want to mention I'm going to send out the link to the GenMin Director webinars we have done in the past. There are about 4 that we require all the camp directors to have viewed at least once. That's Risk Management 1 and Risk Management 2. And financial, there's one on the financial budgeting and how to handle your finances for the camp. So I'll send those out. I will put a red asterisk by the ones that are required. We're not going to do a new webinar for each of those every single year, but we do want you to have those under your belt and anybody that you're training up. There's one on theology that Anthony Mullins did that was really good. So we're going to just have those as the baseline, and maybe it's good to just watch them again, or I've got them on Google Drive where you can listen to them on your way to work or something on an MP3, and just that way you're just kind of brushing up, because it's easy to think, oh, I know all that, and then there's a hole in the system, and then that's where we get into trouble. So it's just good to kind of remind yourself, refresh on that. So I'll send those out to you, especially for the new people, and make sure that we get these out to the day camp people, neighborhood camp people as well. Our next video chat is February 22nd. It's a Thursday. I hope that works for people, but we're also recording it, so we will be sending that out to all the people who weren't unable to make it. Any other thoughts, Jeff, or anybody else that we need to wrap up here at the top of the hour?
I just want to say thank you all for being here tonight, and I really would appreciate it if we can really make it a point to set aside these hours when we try to get together and try to discuss the things that we need to discuss, and really please, if you can make it to the summit, it's us. It's going to be us this time, and if you want to bring your assistant director or your operations manager or even your treasurer, we don't want it to be really huge, because we want to be able to sit down and roll up our sleeves and actually focus our attention on each other and on what the Spirit's doing with us and pray together and that kind of thing. But man, we'll be sending out the link. We're just waiting on accounting to approve the link that we set up. Once that's done, I'll send it out to you, and we can go ahead and make you can go ahead and make your reservation to come in and join. Like I said, we'll make sure we pick you up. That price includes lodging and all meals, and we'll take care of everything else. We'll get you here and love on you a little bit. But I'm really looking forward to being together, all of us together. And again, thank you so much for the support. Keep praying. I'm going to try to communicate pretty regularly with you guys, better than I have at least the first 9 months or so. But I'm going to try to communicate and send you stuff and just kind of keep you up to date. Sometimes it may even feel like a stream of consciousness, but I want to make you aware of kind of what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking, to give you stuff to pray about with me and for me, and for Mark and Ann, and for Linda, and for Lance and Georgia, and the folks who are helping out there.
That's awesome. Jeff, you're doing a great job. I really appreciate you. Anybody here like to close us out in prayer? Whoever unmutes their mic first.
I'd love to.
Thank you, Carrie.
Sweet baby girl.
Oh, precious Father, I thank you so very much for this time and this place. Every single place that we're in, Lord, that you are with us and that we are able to be with each other this evening. I thank you for all the work that has gone into this and the preparation from those who are leading us, but also within each of our hearts, Lord, that you have called us to your mission and your ministry, and that we get to serve alongside each other, even if it's never right next to each other, that we are in this together and that you are with us and we are with one another. We just thank you for that, and I just pray for good evenings the rest of this evening, and good weeks, and just a great time of just getting ready for whatever you have for us to be all in 2018. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too. Have a great one.
Thank you. Good night.